Amanda Henry's father was killed in May, but her sympathy isn't with him, it's with his killer.
I would love to see him released. I would.
That's because her father, Matteio Condolucci, is a convicted pedophile. Amanda says he terrorized her by brutally sexually and physically abusing her for years. There were times Amanda wished her dad was dead, even attempting suicide to escape the horror that was being his daughter.
I wanted to die for the longest time. And many times I tried to, and it didn't work.
James Fairbanks admits to shooting and killing Condolucci after seeing him watching children playing in their neighborhood.
I just went home and I felt sick, honestly. That night, all night, my stomach was in knots. I couldn't sleep, I couldn't eat.
Fairbanks is speaking from a Nebraska jail where he's being held on a charge of first-degree murder.
I saw a man staring at kids, even though he is a twice convicted sex offender.
Fairbanks says he learned of Condolucci's criminal past while researching the area for an apartment. After noticing Condolucci's playset in his yard, a magnet for kids, he decided to confront Condolucci.
It was my intention to go over there and let him know, look, I know who you are. I watched you the other day. If you touch any of these kids, you're not going to get another slap on the wrist from the justice system.
Fairbanks brought his gun, and the confrontation took a deadly turn.
As soon as I started talking, he came forward, and immediately, again, he was a 6 foot, 300+ pound man. I knew I had to shoot. My intention was not to walk over there and just shoot, period.
While his actions have been condemned by law enforcement, community support for him is growing, and a Facebook group campaigning to free him has more than 2,000 followers. Laura Smith heads the group.
I support James Fairbanks because he did something that the system failed to do, and that is protect our children.
Condolucci served less than 2 years for sexually assaulting a child in Nebraska in 2006 and was convicted of similar crimes in Florida in 1993. Fairbanks, once a paraprofessional at a middle school, says he has intimate knowledge of the lifelong damage that's caused by sexual abuse.
Working, I've watched the kids over the years that I've worked with, just so many confided in me the torment, the pain that they're going through with their abuse that they've suffered.
While Fairbanks says he's grateful for the support he's getting, he's urging people to channel their energy in a different direction.
We need tougher penalties. We need to stop cutting these deals that allow men like him to molest children for decades and only serve minimum sentences and be allowed to move right back into our neighborhoods alone and put up playgrounds in their backyards and just look for their next victims.
Meanwhile, a group that opposes public sex offender registries denounced Condolucci's death as the latest example of state-sponsored facilitation of vigilante murders.
This case, you're talking about the least sympathetic victim that I think I've come across in a murder trial that we've covered here at Court TV. This guy's a pedophile. I mean, this is the lowest of the low. And you've got a defendant who, you saw him speaking there, comes across as, somewhat likable and credible. But prosecutors, there's a line that they're drawing, saying, listen, you can't take the law into your own hands. So let's bring in Steve Leffler, who is the attorney for James Fairbanks, who joins us tonight. Steve, thanks so much. Appreciate your time on this Friday. First question that I have is, your client is there speaking. It seems like he believes in what he's saying, comes across credibly, but most criminal defense attorneys I know don't really like it when their clients, especially in a murder case, are speaking before the trial.
You're right, sir. This is my 44th year representing citizens who have been charged with offenses, and this is truly the only time I've ever had somebody who wanted to. I've had people that wanted to speak, but I'd never let them do that. But Mr. Fairbanks had some really cogent, powerful reasons for wanting to address the public for what he did. I will tell you, sir, that if he would not have self-reported, if he would not have basically, he sent an email to the local channels explaining why he did. If he would not have done that, sir, there's a chance he'd have never gotten caught. And he decided he wanted to make sure that the public knew why he did what he did. And so this is part of his mission, to have the criminal justice system treat pedophiles as severely as they do people who commit murder. So, yes, sir, I mean, it goes against my grain as a defense attorney to have him speak before the trial. I also got to tell you, I thought he did a great job, and he's more than a likable guy. I've had a chance to meet with him now, 50 to 75 times, and he's a great guy, and he's a great father. He's been a great friend to people. So I'm encouraged by what he said. I'm also encouraged by the public's response to what he said.
You did say the word mission, though, and that gets us to where I think prosecutors are really concerned here, and law enforcement is concerned, that a guy who's on a mission is taking the law into his own hands. All right, so let's clarify. They're going to paint the picture, I believe, of vigilante justice. We're kind of hearing that word thrown around. At trial, is this case going to be about jury nullification for the defense, or is it about self-defense?
You're clearly a sophisticated guy. I listened to your interviews on other broadcasts, and in an earlier segment, you talked about, or one of your co-hosts talked about, how jury selection is going to be incredibly important here, what 12 people you have in the jury box. And there is going to be absolutely, actually the prosecution, who's a great lawyer, she and I talked about that this case is probably going to get down to jury selection and final argument. It's not a whodunit. My guy admits freely that he did it. He admits freely why he did it. And there's going to be some people that feel strongly this is vigilantism. There's other people that think, how did Mr. Condolucci only spend 2 years in jail with the tremendous damage that he inflicted upon young children in our community? Why is he treated better than somebody like Mr. Fairbanks, my client? And so, but to answer your second point, sir, there is going to be not an element of, part of our whole defense is going to be self-defense. I can't get into all the facts of the case right now, but I think the 12 people on the jury will hear a case that would allow them to find my client not guilty because of the things that happened once my client showed up at Mr. Condolucci's home.
Now, one of the big battles we see in a lot of cases that we cover here on Court TV is about the victim and how much the jury finds out about the victim. And we always attack defense attorneys who try to dirty up the victim. This is a dirty victim. But how much will the jury know about Matteio Condolucci?
Well, again, a very perceptive question, sir. We actually are going to have a hearing November 5th at 1:30 where the government is trying to prevent me from bringing out all those very sordid details of his past. I want the jury to hear everything from the time that he raped a boy in 1993 in Florida, and unfortunately that young boy ended up committing suicide because of the psychological distress that he carried with him as a result of this, through the most recent conviction in Nebraska. And so can I call Amanda Henry, who's his daughter? Will the judge let me do that? There's other things that I won't say right now that we found about Mr. Condolucci's past that you're right. I saw you go like this. He's beyond despicable. And I hate to speak ill of the dead, but I'm going to. He's beyond despicable. And so November 5th at 1:30, we're going to have a hearing in front of a really good, smart judge to determine what I can get into and what I can't at the time of the trial.
Steve Leffler, the attorney for James Fairbanks, we really appreciate your time tonight. Thank you so much.
I enjoyed it. Good luck to you guys.
All right, thank you.